I will try to do this talk real quick because, you know, we're like tired, want to drink some beer, me personally, want to pee, me personally. Um, yeah, and let's start with the intro. So I have two important things I do in my life. The first one is I work for EPAM Systems, which is a global outsourcing company, as a digital solution architect. And I do Smashing Magazine as a hobby, or vice versa. Um, and we are gonna talk about actually different things: how we actually manage to do search, how we manage to do Netlify, how we manage to do new Smashing Magazine version, which is in development for I think 15 months or something like that. And you know, the question is why is it like really important? Why is like needed to talk about for like 20 minutes or something like that? Because it's something more than just, you know, articles. We have a shit ton of articles. We have 200,000 comments right now online. We have shop, we have events, we have job board, and we want to introduce memberships as well, which means we'll have paid subscriptions uh, for different kinds of things actually. And we want to move from WordPress to static HTML, and we don't have any line of server-side code right now, which is the most important thing here. So during this year or something, it's like 1,000 I think closed pull requests, not counting Netlify pull requests, by the way. It's like 15 months of development. It's variable number of team members, 2 to 5. And one more interesting and difficult topic is we have different workflows. Apart from editorial one, we need to publish articles, we need to manage products, we need to see what orders are made within our shop, we need to manage events around the globe as well, different time zones and so on and so forth, which is a bit difficult as well. And the thing about redesign is we simply cannot stop redesigning the whole redesign process and then redesigning it again. That's why we're stuck right now. But I promise you, we're gonna launch this year. Um, and we had a first talk about the stack we have right now. I will do some more down to the ground, um, I think, details about how we use that. And again, the important thing is why, right? So I count here a few things. Performance, we'll be talking about performance in details. Scalability, as it's, I think, CDN, it's static, right? So you don't need to scale anything. You don't need to have auto scaling groups, load balancers, nothing like that, right? Because it's static served from CDN. You don't have a lot of security holes which are uh, present within WordPress always, and they're going to be there for forever because it's a huge system. You cannot skip that. It's portable because it's HTML, it's Markdown, it's CSS and JavaScript. It works everywhere. Um, it's easy to change. It means that we have Markdown. So there was a question about markup, right? So we use Markdown as a syntax for our markup. So we do everything in Markdown, everything. It means that articles are Markdown files, right? With custom properties like title, author, so on and so forth. We do items, product items as Markdown as well, because we can have custom properties within Markdown, right? Apart from, you know, styling it as header or paragraph or list, right? Then we process. So Netlify helps us with processing and making continuous deployment from these Markdown files, building that into HTML using different layouts we define for different types of content we have. This is what I mean by changeability. We can easily use the new layout, right, and it will be rendered as pink or orange or whatever, right, like that. Availability, of course. So as it's statics, as it's CDN, we have like the best SLA we can have. and reliable as well, which actually goes down to availability. Um, so this is how our process looks like, and this is our actually motto. So the motto is, if you cannot do something in Markdown, do it in HTML. If you cannot do it something in HTML, do it in CSS, and only then apply JavaScript to it if you cannot solve it with all these tools. Uh, Although we have a lot of JavaScript on our website. All right, let's start with Markdown. So we have Markdown, we have JavaScript, and we have APIs. Let's start with Markdown, markup, I'm sorry. So markup, we have Markdown, we have Hugo as, let's say, as a tool which transforms everything from Markdown to layouts to HTML, right? And why Hugo? This is a nice question. There was a question about why Hugo. Do you support any other static website generators? The thing about Hugo is it's based on Go, right? And it means that it JavaScript based static website generator cannot be as fast as Hugo has. And you remember the stats we had here, right? So you need to process all that things, and it's growing, and we need to do it quickly. I don't want to wait for deploy preview for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes. I want it instantly. So it's more difficult than that, but still. And we have CDN. So our actually we had a demo of it, but this is how our continuous deployment cycle looks like. So we have everything hosted on GitHub. We have commit hook. It goes down to Netlify, and actually we have gulp script, which does all the magic, starting from CSS, building CSS from SAS, and critical CSS as well. JavaScript service workers, generating JSON, XML where we need it. So one more interesting thing about converting Markdown to HTML, we're also converting Markdown to XML for RSS feeds, which is just different layout or template for the same content. And we're transforming it to JSON for some pieces of websites, for example, job board, or just JavaScript-driven pieces, components of website. We do a bit of more tricky things on the build phase as well. For example, we are inserting different panels and different advertisements into different advertisement panels, into different articles, into different places as well. So which is, and we do search indexing in this phase as well. We do pre-rendering for pre-Act components or React components on the server side for on this stage, and some more things. All right, let's switch over to tools we use. Right, the first one, of course, is Netlify, and it's like an eye for a gem, right? Apart from that, we do have let's say a couple of, I wouldn't say APIs or vendors. We count them as partners. We truly believe that they're like thought leaders in the area. That's why we have chosen them. So we use Algolia, we use Cloudinary, we use Netlify, we use Stripe, and we use PayPal. So this is basically it. We have HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and all that stuff you see on the screen. So I can actually go drink my beer, I think, right now. So and how to do Algolia search? I was really surprised, but this is really, I was like, am I gonna tell them? I was like having a hard time thinking about what to say about Algolia search, but this is crazy simple, guys. Really, we have like two steps of doing that. We have one step during the build phase. We're like indexing all the data, creating a batch, pushing it to API of Algolia. This is it, right? Then we're just implementing a JavaScript component which uses API of Algolia. That's it. Crazy simple. The same with Cloudinary. What we do, we need responsive images for different screens. We need to resize images. What we do, we're just using this Cloudinary resizer to have image in proper format. And we use a lot of open source Netlify APIs. So, and how many technical persons are in here, by the way? So like doing hands-on programming every day with Java, .NET, or not really. All right. So this is how our architecture looks like. It's as you see here. So this is what we actually manage and do at Smashing Magazine. Only this part, which is like really crazy. And this is what we have behind and what we use, right? For example, we use CD anti-host files. We use Cloudinary for images. We use Algolia for search. We have middleware hiding all this stuff back, right? Um, I haven't shown CMS on all the order processing stuff here, but it's like open source components Netlify has as well. But the craziest thing about it is that what we do is only JavaScript, CSS, and HTML here plus Markdown. This is how it works. This is how crazy simple it is. The more interesting stuff coming up right now. This is what we use on the front end, on the client side in the browser. Um, the question probably is why Preact, right? How many of you are like using React on a daily basis? How do you like that? Right. Um, Vue, whatever, any others like Angular 1.5. All right. Backbone, JavaScript MVC. No, right. jQuery. No one. Oh, perfect. We have a lot of stuff in common, I think. Um, all right. So I just wanted to talk a bit about Preact. So it's like historical reasons right now. I can say that because we have React version 16 right now. So it's rudimentary piece, but although it's smaller, faster, and not compatible with all the React plugins and Redux as well. Um, but anyway, the interesting piece comes here. So because you understand that we have static HTML, right? It's not single page application. You don't have a root container, something like that. But you still need some kind of architecture in place to manage all this stuff because you have JavaScript on the client side. So what we have done here is, so basically it's pretty close to Redux cycle, but we have two more interesting pieces here. The first one is registry of components, and then we have smart components doing smart components in two ways, which are handlers and containers. This is like Redux loop data flow you have in any Redux application. This is what you can have in any React application. But difference is like handlers and containers and registry here. I will explain why. And I actually name it like React powered Redux based jQuery inspired architecture. Um, so why we do that is that we don't have a single page application. We have many pages. We need to assign components, render components in different places on the page, or we need to move some things in DOM without rendering anything. So two use cases for JavaScript here, two scenarios. So I figured out a way of how to actually easily assign that. Why jQuery? We had like jQuery based here. Why jQuery based? Because I was using that approach in 2012, I think. The same things with jQuery, then the same things with Backbone. The concept is pretty simple. So you have data attribute, which says data handler and the name of handler, for example, here. And then you have different other data attributes. Then what happens next is actually registry searches for data component or data handler assignment within the DOM, check if that component exists within the app, then grabs all the data from data attributes, triggers different hooks if you need them registered, and then renders this component into the place of that DOM element. So basically dynamic, declarative way of rendering components within pages. And then you have like React component flow with component did mount, component will mount, blah, 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 all that stuff happening. But what is the difference between containers and handlers here? Very simple. We have containers are the same things you have in Redux. Redux containers, smart components, higher order components, whatever name that. It's connected to store, connected to data, and as small as possible. It's just our rule. Because you have a whole HTML page, you can have just a count of, for example, a number of comments within the article. Is going to be a React Redux container. Then we have handler. This is the same thing as container, but it doesn't render anything. It just grabs some DOM piece, hides it, shows it, or something like that. And basically, our rule extends to in JavaScript. We prefer handlers over containers because we prefer HTML over JavaScript. So if you can render something in HTML, if it's not sensitive data, if it doesn't drain your security, go ahead and then show, hide it, manipulate with that. So back to the roots, actually. So what we do is like old-fashioned way of doing things, we probably think, but this is like everything goes in cycle, guys. So we'll be writing HTML back again with CSS. No more JavaScript. All right, so basically this is the chapter I want to talk about real quick. It's like why we actually moved to Netlify and all these APIs with Algolia, with Cloudinary, and using HTML and writing this weird JavaScript in that weird way. So because of this, we have like pretty much good stats on any performance tool analyzer or something like that, like web perf test as well. Right, we don't have any caching on the backend right now. I'm sorry. And what we learned about doing static websites, they can be slow as well, right? So first of all, delay all the things. For example, we do critical HTML. This is how our page looks like on slow 3G first paint, for example. This is like 100, 200 milliseconds after you pressed enter in search. And then what you have, if you scroll a bit down, this is what you see actually. Then actually we do the same with web fonts. We delay in the web font rendering. Then we, after 7 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, whatever, you have something like that, beautiful, perfect image. We're not loading advertisement. We do care for users, and we do not load advertisement. At the beginning, we have artificial delay after DOM event, as well DOM ready event for 2 seconds to start loading advertisement, because we do really care about users. We not even loading the script if advertisement is blocked by adblock, because you don't really need this data, right? You don't see that. And we are not loading the for particular members. If you have a subscription, if you have an account on Smashing Magazine, New Smashing Magazine, you won't have any advertisement, not even script. The second rule is compress all the things around. Yeah, we do image compression during the build phase. We do image resize and compression depending on DPI of the screen and screen resolution, and we're gzipping everything. Caching. So what we do with caching, we hardly cache every single piece of what we have. We use service workers in Chrome to cache all the statics and cache, for example, all the useful pages, like 5 latest articles, so we'll be able to browse it while riding a train, for example. And we use Redux Persist for with local storage to cache user data, like user profiles, download, orders, cart you have right now. Then we're using HTTP2 to parallel all the requests, which is easy. And we use a lot of new dirty HTML tags to pre-render, prefetch, DNS prefetch things, pre-connect, and preload. So if you go to the homepage of Next Smashing Magazine, you will see that we're doing a lot more requests that we need to load to render the first page, because we predict where will you go next. And we do fallbacks, so we care about that time. So we have everything delayed. So basically, if you have a slow connection, you will see a really weird picture, but it's gonna be useful as well for you. You can have fallback from Algolia search to Google search if you don't have JavaScript or something is really slow. We're doing like caching, right? So and we don't generate PDF on the backend. We have pretty nice print style sheets for example, if you purchase a ticket or if you purchase a book and you need to print out um, a receipt, right? As a result, we have like 6 times faster website right now than it was. But the amount of data we have in there is much more than we had. But we still have a plenty of room for enhancements, for example, progressive CSS. So our idea right now is to split all the CSS into small pieces and load right after the component. We want to do the same with JavaScript. So right now we have a full JavaScript main.js bundle, right? But we don't really need that. We need just a small core framework, and we need small pieces for each component of the page, because we have this declarative way of doing things. We can load only necessary pieces after everything initialized. And my personal things are like, I want to move to React finally, and replace all the components we have right now, like autocomplete. We've been doing it from scratch, fixing all the bugs. I want to replace it with proper component. I want to go for offline checkout, payment request APIs, and Vitaly has like 1,000 more crazy ideas. So the latest one we implemented there is a button to switch a contrast level for a website. Right. So you can go ahead, check it out. If you have any comments, it's not the end, by the way. Hold on. Yeah. So I'm the last one, right? So just dancing. Right. So the thing is, find bugs. We're pretty much good at sending books, sending anything, any gifts we have for you. If you find bugs, and just send out to email, you will see on the screen if you go there. And I have some cat pictures after it, so we can start with questions. I have 50, I think, or something. So we have.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm a backend guy.
All right.
Tell me more about this API middleware, because it feels like there's a whole lot going on in there that could be unpacked.
API middleware you've seen there between, yeah. Basically, you can count it as API gateway or something like that. So just transforming responses, and that's it. Nothing special. So it's like dump as any API gateway. We don't do any hard transformations. We don't do anything. So just really middle layer in between, just to couple all the APIs together, just as a gateway.
And so how does Stripe fit into the picture? Because I was sort of assuming you were going to tell me some story about this is where the secure processing of credit card details goes on, right? Because
Yep.
using Stripe requires certain code be run in a secure environment, not in an untrusted browser.
Exactly.
Right?
That's why we need that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's it's hosted, right? So it's hosted by Netlify as well. So we actually have this. Right. So it's a bit. It was a bit of a lie, right? But personally, Smashing Part was not doing any server side, but this middle layer was run by Netlify, and it's a Heroku deployment, which is separate from Netlify. So it's the only piece of, like, let's say, backend actually which can be counted as smashing backend, right? But it's just grabs some data from other APIs and pushes to where we need, just an adapter on the top. Yep. Yeah, but we have this Netlify APIs running, and Stripe processing there, so everything's there. So basically, getting the first token, of course, could be from browser, but then you need to process it.
Any more questions? Yep, it's working. Okay.
Yep.
So first of all, thank you for the presentation. It was great. So my question is, when you say that you manage your contents by Markdowns, do you mean that you prefer storing and managing all your contents on the Markdown instead of using database or any document oriented?
Um, yeah, this is like paradigm shift for you, I think, for you, already. Um, this is really funny, but Markdown set of Markdown file without anything on the top, any non-relational database or anything like that, uh, is our database. So we're using GitHub and we're using plain static Markdown files, which is CMS. And for some of us CMS, we don't. Some of us are using CMS on the top just to have like this graphical user interface, but many of us just go in directly to Atom or whatever editor everyone is using and just editing Markdown files. This is our database. This is our CMS. This is everything we have. That's it. So this is how everything looks like.
Okay. Thanks.
Last question.
Yeah, if I got it well, most of your websites are static HTML files generated by Netlify and all your pipeline. But how do you deal with comments?
So this is pretty funny question, right? But comments are static as well.
So
Yeah. So
every
we
time
have
I post a comment,
yeah. Job postings are static as well. So
Wow.
if you post it, it's saved as a static file.
So it's regenerating the page of the article that contains my comment.
Not really. We're loading them asynchronously just because of this. But at the end, everything is static file.
Okay, that's cool. Surprising.
Yeah. I
Thank
mean,
you.
for example, for job postings, if you post it, we have again, it's open source library, open source library by Netlify. What's happening behind is if you post a job posting, right? Uh, it goes the same flow you've seen on the screen with pushing to GitHub behind the scenes and merging the pull request, right? So the same static Markdown file at the end, right? So just API which does the same trick.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it makes sense because then the comments are and the job postings are indexed by search engines.
Yep, exactly.
Perfect. Thanks.